Hi Hoopers, welcome back to the Shoesayer. I just picked up the Wade 808 4 Ultras, the latest in a long line of basketball shoes compared to the Kobe brand, but these shoes are definitely making a name for themselves. I just got these yesterday and I can't wait to share my first impressions with you guys. All right, let's jump in the video. So, we're going to talk about what's great, what's good, what's bad, and what's sort of in between about these shoes. Today, we're going to start with the positives. All right, so the first thing that's great about the Wade 808 4 Ultras is the traction. The traction is phenomenal. Just trying these out on my floors, my wooden floors, these bite like crazy. We'll see how these do on dust, but the grooves are not too tightly spaced, so I think they should do just fine. So first impressions is that these are crazy on a clean court. I think, man, these are going to perform really well. Also, part of the traction setup is funny because, of course, this is a Wade 808, so it has a drop-in midsole. Now, this drop-in midsole, if you look at the top of it, it has this herringbone traction pattern. And the material used is such that your foot does not slide at all on the top of this midsole. So you can see it has like a herringbone pattern, and that keeps you locked in without sliding on the shoe. So that also adds to the traction, believe it or not, because in its predecessor right here in the, I think these are the V2s. Yeah, these are the 808 2 Ultra V2s, right? You know, crazy names. But anyways, for this one, right, it has this similar drop-in midsole, which we'll get to in a bit, but this pattern here, the material they've used here is very slippery. So, and also with this felt material. So every time I would play in this particular shoe, right, I would always slip around, and then, right, this traction underneath here isn't that bad. It's not the best too, but because my foot was already slipping on the insole, on the midsole, you know, it just didn't make any sense, right? So they've implemented that better here in the 808 4 Ultras, and yeah, top marks for traction. As a continuation to traction performance, we also have traction durability, sort of like a 1B of the things that are really great about the 4 Ultras. Like, this is super hard rubber, right? It's so hard that, you know, they had to implement this softer plastic, sort of, you know, like they did in the way of Wade 11s and 10s, to give it some give and also improve that heel to toe transition, which we'll discuss in under cushion. But you know, this is a really quick, great thing about the shoes, and, you know, 100% durable. And if you want to play outdoors, yeah, this is one of those shoes that you should really consider. All right, so the second thing that's really great about the 4 Ultras is the stability. Okay, so starting with the midfoot carbon fiber torsional plate. Now, this is not full length like you have implemented in the 10s, the way of Wade 10s, or the way of Wade 11s. So, you know, it has a lot more forefoot flex, and I know some people like that. And then when you release this, it goes back to the original form. So when you're running, also the upper material conforms to your foot, so that goes very well with the forefoot flex. You also do not risk any torsional harm because of that plate, right? So when I try to twist the shoe on this axis, it has zero give because of the carbon fiber plate. So you're locked in, you're not gonna have any extra pain or strain from that. In addition to that, you have this plastic piece throughout the lateral side and also in the medial side. And of course, the traction, you can see the outsole comes up here, acting as a sidewall as well. And then you have this synthetic rubber in the forefoot that also gives you that additional, you know, stability, right? I'm assuming it's synthetic. I actually don't have the tech specs. I need to check that out. Yeah, but in terms of stability, I also forgot you have this midfoot strap. Now, this is great because it has stretch to it, right? So even if you're a wide footer, you can always, you know, go a little bit, you know, longer on the strap here, or just keep it short if you have a narrow foot. So that's a good, you know, addition there to this iteration of the shoe. But overall, in terms of stability, you will have no problems. You can see here in the heel, right, you have that sculpting. So your foot is here, and the heel is always going to be just in that recess. So there's no heel slippage at all in these shoes, no matter how you try to move your foot. feels very low to the ground, and you feel completely stable. So I think this is a great shoe in terms of stability for smaller players and also for bigger players as well. So just for comparison, still in stability, again, comparing it to one of its predecessors, the 808 Ultra V2s, right? So check this out. So I'm taking out the insole / midsole for this one, and you can see that it has this plastic piece, which is supposed to provide that torsional support. It is plastic. It does an okay job, but to be honest, it's not the most stable setup. And then without that plastic, just take a look at this, right? Just look at this. I could actually squeeze this. I could squeeze this like this. I can make this into like a banana, right? This is crazy. I don't know how I end up with these shoes. I don't know. I don't know who makes me buy these things. But anyways, so look at that, right? You can see that the V2s, relied completely on this small piece of plastic here for torsional support. And then in comparison, of course, you have the 4 Ultras, which gives you carbon fiber, and which also gives you, those plastic pieces and everything. So yeah, it's pretty weird that, I guess this was a weird phase for their experimentation R&D team or something. Yeah, but yeah, definitely top marks, I would say, especially seeing the progression for the 4 Ultras. All right, so another thing that's really great about the 4 Ultras is the weight. So for comparison, it is a little lighter than the Anta Kai ones, which is one of my just best shoes to play in right now. So it's a little bit lighter. If we do a quick weight test, we see that the 4 Ultras are 14.3 ounces, and then the Anta Kai ones are about 14.9, 14.8 ounces. So these are, a lot lighter, not a whole ounce, but some decimal points there. So these feel really good to play in, and then you have no lag at all if you're worrying about slugging a shoe up and down the court. This is not the one. This is pretty light. Okay, so the last thing that's absolutely great in the 4 Ultras, in my opinion, is the materials, right? So from everything, right? So from the elastic band, which is a nice cheeky touch, to the upper, which is synthetic for the most part, but it also has this embroidered toe box, and also on the lateral side, you can see that you have this embroidered lateral side that also has micro mesh sort of, integrated, right? So you see this, the mesh in the toe box and also on the lateral side, which improves breathability. It has a nice amount of padding here around your Achilles and also in the heel. You see this carbon fiber shank plate, of course, always a premium touch whenever you have carbon fiber. And then you also have the way the plastic is implemented, more on this in the cushion, but you have this softer plastic, and then it's overlaid underneath, right, this carbon fiber. So whenever you have plastic and carbon fiber, you have something sturdier. And then in this heel area and also in the forefoot with this sort of like flex groove implementation, not to forget full boom drop-in midsole as well. It has herringbone and keeps your foot not sliding, and also it has sort of like these pores, right? You might be able to see this, but it has like these pores around the shoe that maximize the grip between the drop-in midsole and the shell of the shoe itself. So overall, I would say this is one of the nicest material implementations I've seen in a long time. And even here where you have plastic and not actual carbon fiber, it's still designed in such a way that it looks really good. So overall, and then let's not forget, see the heel? You can see that it has this sort of asphalt gravel-like looking material. I'm not sure I've ever seen that, right? Just around the, shelling the heel counter. Yeah, that's a nice premium touch. Just take a look at that. That is crazy. That is crazy. And of course, you have the heel tab, which is a nice touch from a material perspective as well. So yeah, I do like this shoe a lot. It has Velcro, it has leather, might be synthetic, it has plastic, it has carbon fiber, it has embroidered textile type material, it has micro mesh for ventilation, and then it just has, it has, this nice tongue, right? So even the tongue is it has this fabric like material. So a ton of stuff going on here from a material perspective, man. This shoe is a juggernaut, I think, from a material perspective. A lot of things going, and you can see the work from the designers here. So yeah, definitely. I also like this. You see that Africa logo right there? It's right here in the plastic piece, right? So nice touch. It has the speckled dust thing here. It has these dots, instead of scales, I guess. Wade brand gave us dots, I guess. So instead of snakes, maybe we're looking at frogs, I don't know, or some sort of jungle cat. Yeah, but this is nice. Let's not forget also on the medial side, you have sort of like these goggle, it looks like a set of eyes, but it's essentially, you have underneath this plastic perforation, you have a regular, like, not micro mesh now, but just like the mesh material underneath that. You can see that. And also, just through the shoe, you can see that ventilation, and you can see that's how air leaves the shoe. And you have that in the forefoot and also here on the medial side. So overall, I would just say it's a nice setup. It's a nice setup in terms of materials. I would give it top marks for sure. Good job, Wade brand. All right, so moving on from the great things about the full Ultras to the really good things, the things that the shoe does pretty well. And let's start with the cushion. I've been waiting to talk about the cushion setup because it is crazy. Of course, we know we have the full length dropping midsole right here in the shoe. It's all boom. I see what they've done here in comparison to the predecessors though. Like, for example, again, the 2s versus the 4s. You see here that in the heel, there's actually more padding here. So when I put my foot in this, I was like, this is actually, we've always been worried about impact protection. This was the first time where I was like, this might not be a problem with these 808 4s, because I was trying to do all sort of heel strides and 1 foot, 2 foot stops. And it just turns out that I had no pain at all, right? Granted, I typically would want to play in these like 3-4 times, but so far it seems better, right? So you can see from the profile, it sort of looks like the same thing if you look at it side to side, but however, there's more material here in the 4s versus the 2s. Okay, so in the 4s, you have a thicker profile here, so it's way thicker than you have in the 2s, right? So in the 2s, when I turn this around in a circle, you would see essentially you see this gap here between the top of the midsole here and actually where the midsole starts at the back, and also here in the front. You can see that I can put my hand, essentially my fingers, to some depth here before I get to the actual midsole. But the same thing here, these have the same side profile for the 4s, but when I put my fingers here, you see they stop pretty early because there's a lot more material in the back foot and also in the front foot. So that's why, right? So they've heard, which is why I love the Wade brand, the way they've been working these days. They've heard people complaining about impact protection, and they've increased the amount of cushion, right? So these now, with all the heel strides that I did, yeah, I have no pains, right? So, we'll test this out again and let you know in my detailed review, but first impressions is that they might have solved this here, and the cushion is pretty good. So what do you get? You get a low to the ground responsive cushion that now has improved impact protection. And then another thing I was thinking is that, whenever I played in this is, very clunky. And then when I was doing the heel strides in this, they feel clunky. They should, you would think they would be clunky, but they're not. And the reason why is because, again, Way of Wade pulls out their infamous dual density plastic implementation, right? So you have this same plastic that, goes from the lateral side to the medial side. You have it at the bottom of the shoe now. Here in the forefoot, that's some sort of flex groove. In the heel, you have this softer piece, right? So what they do is whenever they want that piece to be hard, they overlay it on something harder. It could be TPU in this case. In the midfoot, the plastic goes over the carbon fiber plate, and you can see it is hard as nails. But in the back foot, because they don't want it to be as clunky of a ride as it is here in version 2 of the 808s, they've implemented this softer plastic, right? So what happens is when you have heel dominant strides or you're going heel to toe, this compresses along with the cushion, so that gives you a way softer ride. Now this is a big deal, and I see them throwing this in the Way of Wade 10s, 11s, and I'm sure we're going to see that. We saw that in AC12 and also the AC12 on course, right? So they keep throwing this because this is a key way to have that stability and also to have that softness whenever you want to, have a good cushion implementation. So you see that implemented here. Also in the forefoot is also softer, but in the midfoot is hard as nails. So that is a key way they're able to give us these improved cushion setups. Another thing which is great, and I never thought of that, is if you look at the Strobel board, in this case it's funny because Strobel board now is underneath the midsole, but you can see it's a soft perforated foam, as opposed to, I know everyone is raving about Strobel boards that are mesh, but the problem is when you have a drop-in midsole and you have a mesh Strobel board, it really makes no sense, because your mesh, right, your mesh Strobel board is gonna essentially sit exactly on, on the rubber, on the hard as nails rubber. So that just takes away your impact protection. That makes for a very hard heel to toe transition ride. So what they've done is underneath here in the fours, underneath the midsole, the drop-in midsoles, then again they have this soft foam perforated Strobel board to give you even more cushion, and then underneath that they have the softer plastic also, so you don't feel that impact underneath your foot before you have the outsole. So it's a brilliant cushion setup. Thinking about even making it great. The only reason why I haven't put it in great just yet is because it is really nice. I have to test it out a couple times to make sure that even for bigger players, they have no risk of getting any heel injuries or anything. But it really feels very much improved, at least from the predecessor V2 that I have right here. But yeah, definitely something that I really like about the cushion. This is for guards who like that low ride, but also want to be able to change direction, because the cushion complements the traction expertly, and it's just fabulous to play in for the one time that I've played in these. So yeah, this is definitely something that you want to try out. This setup is something that's really nice, and yeah, the cushion is awesome. So yeah, I give it very nice. Not quite top tier, but I would say is underneath that. And by the time I break this in and play in a couple times and send in my detailed review, then it might have actually gotten up there. But we'll see. Yeah, another thing that I really like, another thing that was really good about the 4 Ultras is the fit. So it fits 1-to-1. When I say 1-to-1, like my toes are really just right here at the edge. So if you are a wide footer, I would propose that you go half a size up, because these fit very, very snug, which some people like, but just go up if you're a wide footer by half a size. Also, I just wish it had a wider last. You see that it does have a little bit of an outrigger here in terms of stability and being wide, but I just wish it was a little bit wider, just so that I have more room in the toe box. And when you play and your toes start to rub against each other and you start to get hot, then you will not be able to play for a long period of time if the toe box is very slim and you have a wider foot. But for narrow foot players, then this is a dream come true. It's snug, and then you feel so comfortable wearing them. Also, you have this midfoot strap, which just does wonders, and it's very functional and not just aesthetic, because it locks your foot in the footbed. And then the laces are braided; they don't come off when you wear them. And another thing I really like about the fit is, remember these? Like these are like football boot laces. Do you guys remember Total 90 from back in the, I guess, 90s or 2000? Like every football boot had this sort of tongue, right? So this is like a nod to football, which is really great. I like that. I like that a lot. So yeah, this is something that it also is very functional, right? This just stays on top of your ankle and doesn't move at all, right? So I was worried about that, but actually it's no problem. Yeah. Also, the materials are extremely conformant to your foot. When you sort of stride, it just changes. It's not gonna it's not gonna prick your foot at all. It's not gonna be painful. It just conforms and is able to move with your natural motion as well. So fit is also really, really, really good. Aside from those things that I didn't quite like, I would say it's it's a really good fitting shoe. All right, now in terms of how easy it is to put on these shoes and take them off, yeah, it's pretty easy. You get past the laces, and then you have your tongue up, And then it's not like a huge, you know, space to work with like the Way of Wade 11s, but while you put your foot in, you don't feel any pain. There's no, you know, your foot isn't hitting any part of the shoe really, so it is still pretty okay. And you can see that's still a pretty big, bit of room to work with. Here, I would say the only thing I'm afraid of is using this heel tab. You see, this looks, I don't know what sort of wires they have in there, but this looks a bit flimsy. You know, I'm not gonna try this out because I can't return these shoes all the way to where I got them, and I'm really liking playing them right now. So yeah, so I just hold on to the heel instead of the heel tab, and I think they should have given us a more sturdy heel tab that we could just hold and put our foot in. Maybe the ones that are, you know, the sideways ones, maybe. But yeah, I guess this looks good, but in terms of you know, I'm almost certain that if I were to tug on that hard enough, then it probably is gonna give. Yeah, not sure though. So maybe that's just me, but that's one thing that I would have preferred if it was changed slightly. But aside from that, if I had a heel tab, I would have given this max scores. But for now, it gets a score of being just very good, but just not quite great for ease of putting on and taking off. Okay, another thing that's really good, but just not quite GOAT level is the breathability, especially when compared to 808-2s, Ultra V2s. You can see this is actually way more breathable. This is just, the whole upper is essentially perforated, and then you can see those big slots that air can easily just jump out of, right? So I really like these shoes for breathability, but not for much else, to be honest. But these guys have a little bit more, you know, closed up areas. Like the mesh is more micro, so because those perforations are smaller, there's not going to be more air going out through them than, you know, with the second iteration. However, it's not terrible, right? So air does leave the shoe, and then when I blow through it, I feel a little bit of airflow. And of course you have the perforations on this football cleat looking tongue. But yeah, this does help, you know, but overall it's not the best in terms of ventilation, but you can see that they've made an effort to make it even better than the Way of Wade 10s and the Way of Wade 11s. So yeah, I would just say that for this breathability, it's a decent, you know, ventilated shoe. Another good thing about these shoes, I think, is the visual appeal for a basketball court. I think if you wear these, people are going to turn heads, they're going to ask, you know, what you have on. I think the colors they've also implemented, you know, this one has purple in the back and green, and then it has, there's another one that's yellow with something in the back, and then there's another that's white, and then this all purple, and just very, you know, lush, very bright colors. They said they were trying to do something with the jungle, I believe, but you know, you decide if they look like the Mambas to you. Some people might say that the Mambas went with scales and then they've went with spots, you know, so I guess you decide. I know there is definitely some sort of similarity there, beyond just the drop-in midsoles, which is also reminiscent of Kobe's shoes, right? So yeah, we can't ignore that completely, but I think in terms of how they look on the court, I was pleasantly surprised, and I would definitely rock these, you know, with my regular basketball gear all day, every day. So yeah, I really like how these look. So I would just say it very, very good in terms of visual appeal for a basketball court. So another thing I think was very well done regarding the 4 Ultras is the innovation. I know some people might say, aren't these just like Kobe's? They look like Kobe's. Yes, the drop-in midsole thing, you know, we know that the Kobe's probably had that going on, but they have so many subtle changes on these shoes that I think it's very, you know, noteworthy, right? So for example, the way they've implemented that plastic that acts as, you know, cushion element and also a stability element on the medial and the lateral side, right? So that's also very, very nice. Also in terms of just the visual design, they have this hole in the outsole where if you have the, you know, midsole in the shoe, you would see essentially the bottom of the drop-in midsole from that hole, which is a nice touch, I think, you know. Also the multiple ways they have ventilation, right? Here you have regular micro mesh, right? Here you have that same micro mesh, but here on the medial side you have this sort of like windshield sort of feel with like a foggy windshield with some plastic and perforations, and underneath that a bigger type of mesh, I like that. Also, the strap with that, extra elastic band, I also like that as well. So just some subtle things. Of course, it's not gold status, which is why it's not in the great things about the shoe section, but I think it's really, really good the way they've made some of these subtle changes to offset some of the disadvantages of its predecessor. So I really think this shoe has done a very good job. Also in terms of the way it looks, if you get past the scales versus dot thing, jungle cat versus snake sort of comparison, you would see a very nice implementation of this shoe by itself. So yeah, for innovation, I would say it's good, but not gold status, not that great, but definitely something I really like about the shoe and the way they've been able to work with what they had in the past, and then making a very obvious advancement to that as well in the future. So the final thing that I really like about these shoes is the price point. I think for the amount of tech that you get, I mean, it could be a little bit cheaper, to be honest. I would probably like if it was probably like 120, 130 USD. I mean, the Kyries are, and they're probably, just as good as these guys, if not even better. But it is 159 US dollars, which isn't also, too bad, I guess, considering all the tech in the shoe. So I would give it, a good score in terms of affordability, in terms of price, but not also great in that aspect as well, when, it had all the chance to be right. But I guess these price points are crazy. Obviously, I'm sure Way of Weight brand is like, oh, this is greatly cheaper than the Way of Weight 10s and 11s, but, it's still 160 bucks. So yeah, anyways, that's the price. But yeah, I think that's a good price for getting full length boom, and then getting all these add-ons, the design with the strap, with the dual density plastic implementation, etc. So yeah, I'm not gonna hate on it too much. Also with the foam strobo board going on as well, not too shabby really. So yeah, that's another thing that's pretty cool about the 4 Ultras. All right, so we've looked at what's great and also what's just good about these shoes, and now I think finally we're just gonna look at what's in between, and really it's just the one thing for me, which is under design and aesthetics, style versatility, right? Would you, and just let me know in the comments, right? I like to play in this like on the court, like in game. I think these look good. Let me know what you think in the comments. And also, would you wear these anywhere else? Could you style this with a pair of jeans? Would you wear these with sweatpants? Would you go to the mall? Would you go on a date? Would you go to see a movie? Would you just go to see a friend in these? Like, I don't know. Personally, it's not my style. I wouldn't say these are very versatile in terms of style, but I do like the D-Books. For instance. Like, I wear these just going around wherever, and they're also super comfortable. If you were looking for a pair of shoes that you had to wear out and also wanted to just be as comfortable as you would be on the basketball court and not look totally weird, then I would say you should pick up the D-Books for sure. However, let me know in the comment section what you guys think about the aesthetics of this shoe, both for the visual appeal on the basketball court and also just wearing these out as well. All right, so there we have it for the Wade 808 4 Ultras. My general remarks are that this shoe is definitely a banger. Right? They've definitely upgraded from the previous versions that I have, and this is going to be something that you want to try, especially if you're a fan of the drop-in midsole setup. The subtle things they've done, implementing the softer dual density plastic to improve that heel to toe transition, is a big game changer. Also having the strobo board to be perforated foam instead of just just stiff, or instead of a mesh strobo board, is also a game changer. Very innovative in terms of everything they've implemented. The design helps with stability. The shoe has very little pitfalls, very little things I can actually criticize. I will be shooting my detailed comparison with you guys know my full scoring that I typically do, and that is going to be a very long form video, but I just got these and I wanted you guys to know what my first initial thoughts were, and those thoughts are thoughts of good. These shoes are great. These shoes are bangers. I'm going to be playing with these a lot, and then when I'm done playing in them 3 times, and I'm going to shoot the video. Also, I plan on shooting a video where I compare these to the Player One Plus from SPO, Serious Player Only. I know a lot of you guys have been looking for that shoe, a review on that shoe, and now I'm going to make that a comparison with this as well, just to let you guys know what is the best bang for your buck out there. But great shoe from Wade brand. They've been killing it. My Way of Wade 11 video is still fresh. They killed it for that one. They killed it with the Way of Wade 10s, and I have more videos coming up for sure. But let me know in the comments what you think about these shoes. If there are any other videos you want me to try and get to review, I already have a backlog. I'm getting to that, I promise. Just, you know, a bit tough because I'm just my own channel essentially, so I got to do all that myself. But thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for posting stuff in Reddit about my channel. Thank you for posting stuff on Twitter. Thank you for posting on Instagram. Thank you for all your help, and you know, you guys are the best. I am going to continue to, you know, bring you guys candid, honest feedback about all the shoes that you love, and you know, just stay in touch and let your boy know. But yeah, thanks guys. It's been awesome hanging with you, and yeah, that's it. See you guys in the next one. Bye, Hoopers.